Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining Blue Hornet and Fresh Address for our webinar today, 5 Keys to Email List Growth, Building a Healthy Database. I'm Ashley Deese, Marketing Operations Manager at Digital River. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. We're going to have a live Q&A after the webinar is over, so please submit any questions you have during the presentation using your chat window. We also encourage you to join the conversation during the webinar on Twitter, tweeting @BlueHornetEmail and @FreshAddress, following the hashtag listgrowth. Finally, this webinar is being recorded, and we'll send out the recording and slide presentation for you to download in the next few days. So let's get started. Today we'll shed light onto the challenges of email list growth and how marketers can leverage both acquisition and ongoing engagement strategies to both build a healthy database and increase subscriber lifetime value. How important is list growth to marketing success? What challenges stand in the way of achieving list growth success? To answer these questions, Blue Hornet partnered with research company Ascend2 to field the email list growth survey, completing interviews with marketing, sales, and business professionals from around the world. To take a closer look into the challenges of email list growth to B2C brands specifically, Blue Hornet developed the Consumer Email List Management Report, representing the opinions of the B2C segment of email list growth survey respondents. Today, Blue Hornet and Fresh Address will provide insights and recommendations on the findings from the report. For those joining us for the first time, welcome, and a little bit about Blue Hornet and Fresh Address. Blue Hornet is a leading email service provider that offers a unique combination of enterprise-scale email marketing solutions and services to ensure email marketing program success for businesses large and small. Since 1999, Fresh Address, leading email database service company, has helped companies that depend on email to drive revenue by building, updating, segmenting, and cleaning their email list. So with that, we're going to begin, and I'd like to introduce our speakers today. From Blue Hornet, we have Emily Strasberg, Email Marketing Manager, and Catherine Briarski, Marketing Associate at Fresh Address. Ladies, take it away.
Thanks, Ash. I'm really excited to be here today hanging out with all of you and talking about email list growth. And thank you, Catherine, for joining. I'm happy to have you here as well.
Thanks for having me, and thank you for the introduction, Ashley. I'm looking forward to talking with all of you today about something we at Fresh Address are very passionate about.
So as discussed, we fielded the email list growth survey in partnership with Ascend2 to better understand the importance of email list growth to B2C marketers, see what kind of role it plays in their marketing success, and what their challenges overall are with list growth. 95% of B2C respondents from the survey say their email list, growing their email list, is a measure of success within their marketing programs. It's no surprise also that it's the second most important objective for their email marketing strategy aside from conversions. As an email marketer, I can definitely relate to this. Email list growth is a huge measure of success for us here at Blue Hornet. What about you at Fresh Address, Catherine?
Definitely, Emily. So growing your email list is a hugely important measure, and I think one of the nice aspects of today's webinar is that Emily and myself are both marketers. So we're speaking to you as those who have faced these same challenges, and these are some of the ways that we can accomplish solutions. So at Fresh Address, being a leading email validation software provider, we always advise our clients to be sure that they not only have a large quantity of email addresses, but high-quality email addresses. Having subscribers who want your emails and who have valid email addresses is more important than having a large list full of junky email addresses. So today, we're going to go through the steps that it will take for you to grow a high-quality email list.
Definitely, and I'm sure we can all sympathize with the pressure of hitting our numbers and needing to grow. But to your point, Catherine, if we're not doing it right, we're not doing it effectively. If we aren't building a healthy database and developing long-lasting relationships with our subscribers, we're not growing our list in an effective way. While important, as Catherine mentioned, there are challenges to list growth that we all face. According to our survey, 74% of respondents say that their email lists are growing slowly or not at all. So what are these challenges and how can we overcome them as email marketers? Today, we're going to take a closer look into the challenges as we discuss the 5 keys to growing a healthy database. I'm sure you can agree, Catherine, we could spend hours on this topic, but today we're just going to discuss very simple yet tactical strategies for companies both small and large to achieve list growth success. Whether you're just getting started or you have a strategy in place, we'll provide short and long-term goals for growing your email list by capitalizing on the 5 keys to email list growth. So as we discuss the 5 keys of email list growth, we hope after the webinar you'll be able to take away ideas and strategies on how you can build an effective, healthy email database, overcoming list growth challenges by identifying ongoing opportunities for growth and optimization, and furthermore, being able to measure the effectiveness of your strategy after implementing all of these tactics.
We're very excited to get started, and before we begin with our first key, we would love to hear your feedback throughout the presentation. So feel free to tweet along with us using the hashtag listgrowth and tweeting @FreshAddress and @BlueHornetEmail. Send us any questions, comments, and feedback you have, and we will try to respond to as many of the questions as possible. We're sure that you have faced these same challenges, and it's nice to collaborate as marketers on the problems we face and the solutions we come up with to combat that. So let's get started. The first key today is list hygiene. List hygiene is a great place to start your foundation, and at FreshAddress, as I said, we are experts in this field, and we know that it's a very important key to begin your email program. So as you can see here, 41% of those surveyed said that email list hygiene and accuracy is one of the biggest challenges for them. So in order to build a healthy list, it's important to consider 2 different things. You need to have a hygiene strategy for acquisition, and you need to have a hygiene strategy for ongoing maintenance. So as we can see here, so bad addresses are typed in 2 to 20% of the time. So this seems like one of those pretty obvious things, getting a correct email address into your database. So to stop bad email addresses from deflating your list size and having, invalid or incorrect email addresses in your list, you can consider a few different point of acquisition strategies in order to combat that. A couple of quick fixes would be a double opt-in, so when your email goes to a subscriber, they have to re-opt in to receive your emails. And you can also use a more comprehensive solution, which would be to clean your list that you have and also to use a real-time validation service.
And Catherine, at FreshAddress, how often do you recommend to your clients doing kind of a database check and cleaning your list? I know a lot of old addresses turn invalid or worse into spam traps, typically a year or sometimes sooner. What do you recommend in terms of ongoing maintenance with list hygiene?
Definitely. So we usually recommend a quarterly cleaning of your list. And as you can see with this other statistic on the slide, your email list will decrease annually by 30% due to subscribers changing their email addresses. So, that's one of those things that it's important to keep in mind. So a lot of the email addresses on your list people are changing their emails. Maybe their emails are old, or maybe they've been typed wrong and you've had them in their database for this long. So by cleaning your list quarterly, you can ensure that you are having the proper email addresses in your list. They're clean, they're valid, and they are not decreasing your sender reputation by sending to invalid or spam traps or typos, because your ESP and your ISP will not be happy with you if you're sending to the wrong email addresses who are not associated with your subscribers.
Definitely.
So as you can see on the screen here, this is an example of a real-time validation solution integrated into Lohman's web form. So when someone went in to go and enter their email address to receive Lohman's offers and maybe newsletter, it says here, sorry, try and type in a valid email address. So, this is one of those things, Emily, that I love to say kind of takes one of the burdens off of the marketer's back. So it's, it's already being done for you, and you can ensure that every email address coming into your list is valid.
Definitely, and this seems like a really valuable tactic. As you can see, Lohman's a retailer here. If you have a unique offer or a special flash sale that you're offering to subscribers and you're using that as a tactic to acquire email addresses, make sure you're acquiring the email address properly, and you're not, as you said, deflating your list with invalids.
Definitely. And having this real-time point of acquisition solution will increase your valid email addresses. So as I said earlier, 2 to 20% of the emails are entered incorrectly. This will decrease that number because people will be indicated, it'll be indicated to them that they need to try a different email address. Acquiring good data, it's really only half the battle. You also need to ensure that you have a plan in place to combat your lapsed subscribers. So here we have a slide about segmentation. So segmentation is a way for you to respond to inactivity. So if you have subscribers who have maybe been in your database for some time, they've been receiving your emails and they're not active, but that doesn't mean they're not valuable. So one of the things that we always like to quote is, use your list to grow your list. According to the Brooks Group, it costs you have a 50% chance of selling to an existing client more of your products and services, but you have a 16% chance of selling to someone you've never done business with before. So if you're able to re-engage these inactive subscribers through a re-engagement campaign kind of like this one from Dell, I love their subject line, is it something we said? And saying, let's talk about you for a change. That's a way to use your list, as I said, to grow your list and to re-engage these subscribers. So to recap, from the list hygiene key. Short term, identify your problems and your pain points with hygiene and accuracy. Are you having issues at your point of acquisition or from lapsed subscribers becoming unengaged or becoming invalid? Long term, you can use a real-time validation solution. You can also develop a re-engagement campaign to weed some of the invalids off of your list. So a marketer's strategy for maximizing growth is dependent on the list hygiene practice at acquisition and for ongoing maintenance to reduce this natural attrition, like we were talking about, the 30% per year from invalid data.
Definitely, and this actually leads well into our next key, content relevance and value, where it's really important that you have a strategy at point of acquisition as well as throughout your relationships ongoing with your subscribers to provide relevance in your content to maintain subscribers on your list. So let's get started. As you can see, content relevance and value is another top challenge for email list growth. Similar to list hygiene, add value at the point of acquisition and then throughout your relationship with the subscribers. Start by focusing on value at acquisition to acquire the primary email address. As Catherine said, email addresses are changing quite often, so make sure that you have a strategy in place to acquire that primary email address. And again, maintaining your database plays a huge part in maximizing your list growth efforts, not only from a cost perspective, as you mentioned, Catherine, but to reduce attrition and maximize your list growth potential. Develop a personalization strategy post-acquisition through your welcome series and lifecycle messages. Why? To increase the lifetime value of your subscribers and keep them on your list. So let's take a look at some examples here. At providing value at acquisition. As mentioned, you want to make sure you're getting that primary email address for your subscribers. As discussed in our 2014 Consumer Views of Email Marketing report, the average consumer has over 5 email addresses. This could be a test email, work email, school email. There's a ton of variations here, and you want to make sure that you're providing value at point of acquisition to acquire that primary email address. So here, let's take a look at this TechCrunch opt-in for newsletters. It's very simple, effortless, but powerful. Using words like top headlines and most popular implies the content being delivered via email is relevant. When emails come is also noted on the opt-in form here. You see daily and on Sundays. Subscribers want to know what they're signing up for and when they can expect it in their inbox. Deals are a primary driver for subscriber engagement and acquisition. Here you see Blue Hornet client Pet360 utilizing this tactic when acquiring subscribers. On the site, when joining Pet360, you are led to an account page. To complete your profile, enter your email address to opt in, but you also see here a unique offer for 20% off. Not only are you driving purchase behavior, but you're also acquiring your subscriber in a very effective way. Carefully craft your offer and test the values. Use a dollar amount off and a percentage off to see what resonates more with your subscriber and ultimately leads to a conversion of that email address as well as a purchase. Now, once you've acquired that email address, it's important to think about the entire opt-in experience after that, your welcome series, and then your touches following that opt-in. Let's start with how you can customize your welcome series or your welcome email to not only get more data from your subscribers, but to continue to add relevance and value. So here you see an example of a welcome email I received from Fandango. I actually used Fandango for the first time a few weeks ago to see American Sniper. Immediately following my purchase, I received this welcome email, clearly defining the 4 benefits for opting into their program. While this is very important and one of our key points to adding value at point of acquisition, what caught my eye most was the note below. Have a favorite theater? Let us know. When I was buying my tickets, as I don't know how it is in Boston, Catherine, but in San Diego, there's a ton of theaters within a 10-mile radius of my house. So it took a little bit of time to find the theater I usually go to. As a consumer, I thought this was great. Not only were they making it easy for me to purchase again, in the age of consumer convenience, it was very helpful for me to kind of craft my own experience with the brand from an ongoing perspective. Now I know that they're going to be sending me relevant offers to that location. As a marketer, I thought this was great, but for a completely different reason. It was a very tactical way to acquire my location without directly asking for a zip code. This is a perfect example of using your welcome series to get to know your subscribers in a less intrusive way.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you mentioned that, Emily. There's been a lot of talk, I've seen it not only online but in my own inbox, about weather-based marketing recently. I'm sure you're all very aware that the East Coast has been slammed with quite a bit of snow this year. So during the first blizzard that we got, I received tons of emails in my inbox, and I know my colleagues did as well, with subject lines kind of like snow day savings or Catherine, snow is on the way. And I thought that was a really interesting marketing tactic to use any location data that you have in order to customize those emails. So that definitely increased my engagement. And as you're saying, Emily, you don't necessarily need to get the zip code upon entry, but being able to get it through that welcome series is such a nice way to get a piece of information that you can later use to increase engagement with your subscribers.
Definitely, and with competition for attention in the inbox, personalization with your email program is important for staying top of mind with your consumers. So, there's different ways that you can leverage subscriber data to personalize that experience, both, simple and complex. So let's take a quick look at how you can leverage subscriber data in a very easy way. You see here an example of Blue Hornet client we just talked about, Pet360. So after I signed up for an account with Pet360, I went into my pets portion of my account to add my dog Kingston, his photo here, to the account to give them more information about my relationship with the brand. I have a dog, his name is Kingston, this is what I'm interested in and why I started to engage with your brand. And you'll see such an easy example here of leveraging this data within an email to connect your brand to what your consumer needs. So you'll see here an animated GIF of dogs playing, and this is really a driver to increase engagement with the email subscribers. Ask them to also contribute pictures, images of their pets. So below you see a reference here to Want to See Kingston in a playful pause email, and I thought this was such a great way to grab my attention, and being a dog lover, I instantly felt more connected to the brand and more inclined to share, as who wouldn't want to see their dog's email name in an email if they have one. So again, this is a really quick win of an example of how you can leverage a small piece of your subscriber data to add personalization in your emails, adding relevance, and ultimately keeping subscribers engaged with your program and on your list.
Who doesn't love cute puppies in emails anyways? So next up we have a little bit of a more robust solution. So using a preference center. So we always recommend to our clients to use a preference center with a lot of different options so that you can encourage your subscribers, if they are not happy receiving as many emails as they are, to opt down rather than to opt out, or worst case scenario, click spam, which will obviously stop your emails from coming to them forever. But that also decreases your sender reputation. So the benefits of using a preference center like the one you can see on the slide here is to customize email offers and content based on certain things that your subscriber has clicked that is an interest to them. So maybe you can send them destination-based emails. Maybe they clicked that they want to receive vacation offers for the Bahamas. Who wouldn't want to go to the Bahamas right now, especially in Boston? It's pretty horrible weather recently. So you can use your preference center not only to collect data, but to decrease the likelihood that your subscriber will completely unsubscribe from your emails. So that reduces attrition and increases the complexity of your program. So these are a great way to maintain your list and to increase your subscriber lifespan as well. And as Emily said, it's nice for them to be able to opt down or to create more data for your subscribers, like her, maybe her preference set up for her dog. She wants to receive more emails with cute pictures of puppies in them.
That's a great way to recap everything we talked about in this section, Catherine. Being able to maximize the effectiveness of your list growth strategy by adding relevance and value at point of acquisition as well as throughout your relationship with your subscribers. So in the short term, make sure you're providing value at point of acquisition in a compelling way. You want to make sure, again, that you're acquiring that primary email address for your subscribers. In addition, you can leverage a welcome series to reinforce that value and also get to know your subscribers better. In the long term, you can leverage subscriber data, both basic and complex, from things like an My Account section or a preference center to provide more relevant content to, again, decrease attrition from opt-outs from those subscribers that become unengaged with your program.
So yeah, talking about these subscribers in your database, how can you best get the subscribers who you want into your database? So key 3 is streamlining your website opt-in. So one of the most effective tactics for list growth is to ensure that you have a seamless strategy in place. You need to make it really easy for your subscribers to sign up on your website so they're not frustrated in trying to sign up if they want some kind of a deal or an offer that you are giving them. So one easy tactic that we always say, locate your sign up, try to locate it in the corner of your website, make the entry space long enough for all email addresses. I know I have a long name, Emily, you have a long last name as well.
Yeah.
And require only a few fields of information. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but as you can see here, website access is one of the most effective tactics, but it's also one of the most difficult tactics for marketers. So next up we have an infographic from Fresh Address that has the best tips to capture email addresses. So a couple of the tactics that we most often encourage people to use would be tell why. As Emily said before, why should they sign up for your emails? Do you have offers? Do you have tips? Do they have a newsletter? Again, leave plenty of room. That's one of my favorites. It's just a simple strategy in order to get people the proper email address into your system. Another one is to give an example of your email. This is kind of another easy way for you to be able to ensure that your subscribers know exactly what they're getting. So maybe if you have a screenshot next to your sign-up form, this is what an example of an email will look like. Maybe include a subject line. They won't be confused when they receive your first email as well as the future emails. And finally, make sure that you catch typos and have helpful error messages throughout the process of them signing up. So, a little message saying, oops, looks like you made a typo, or oops, looks like that's an invalid domain will help to make people, understand why their email might not be going through properly.
Definitely. And as you mentioned, a really quick win and easy way to make sure that you're giving your subscribers the best opportunity to opt in. I really love that example of making sure the form field is long enough to input their email address. As you said, we both have long last names, so it just seems so simple and something you don't think about in the grand scheme of your, more robust marketing strategy, but it's definitely important to go back to the basics and make sure you're doing everything from a best practices standpoint. So let's take a look at some best practices for design and placement. As Catherine mentioned, making sure that you include your opt-in at the corner of your website. As B2C marketers, there's other pages on your website you're likely going to be including email opt-in, for example, at point of purchase. If you're using email opt-in for newsletters, this example here of course is a great example of how to keep it simple, only require one field. We've noted from the report that 65% of B2C companies require 2 to 4 fields for their list growth efforts. If you're acquiring an email address from a newsletter, which is one of the easiest ways to acquire an email address, just ask for the email address itself. Don't overcomplicate the process to make sure that your subscribers are opting into your program very easily. Again, if you're including an opt-in at point of purchase or on an account page, more fields is acceptable as subscribers know it's going to be used for something other than just an opt-in. So again, make sure you're testing which form fields work for all of your forms. You know, you might find again that in a My Account section you have 4 fields and you're getting better results than you are on a purchase page that has 7. So just make sure that you're continuing to test the amount of fields you have and optimize your forms based on the findings. Another opportunity for testing, you see here an example from CNET, is a chat window. So I would say that as a consumer, I'm seeing more and more examples of brands including interstitials or chat windows or pop-ups rather on their websites to acquire subscribers. So it's becoming more of a traditional opt-in tactic. It's definitely another opportunity to test. You want to make sure that your subscribers don't feel like this is intrusive. You know, some people might think this is very convenient, something they respond to well, while others might think this is a little overbearing. Make sure you test and track the behaviors of your subscribers to see which strategy works for your audience. Lastly, but definitely not least, make sure that you have optimized your mobile experience, not just from acquisition, but from your welcome message as well. I know that this has been a hot topic for quite some time now. I know, Catherine, we were both at EEC earlier this month. A hot topic there at that trade show as well was, marketers were asking about mobile. How do they, implement a responsive template? How do they optimize their website for mobile to increase conversions, things like that? So make sure that you take into consideration your mobile opt-in experience. You see here an example from Levi's where they clearly have an email opt-in right below their product categories for men, women, etc. It's really easy to find, and right below, after you submit your email address, you instantly get a thank you for signing up. And I thought this example was great because with mobile, we all know there's not much real estate to include this kind of message, so they overlaid this right over the email address field that you see in this example. Again, just a great way to take advantage of letting your subscribers know, hey, we got your opt-in and you're going to be hearing from us soon. And then to follow up, make sure you have a welcome email that's designed mobile friendly. This is an email I got directly after signing up. Again, tying back to relevance and value in your welcome series to complete that opt-in experience. Levi's does the same, providing the benefits for opting into their program as well as a discount. So I know we talked a lot about how you can streamline your website opt-in. To recap, in the short term, make sure you optimize your physical design and placement, whether it's in a purchase, My Account, top header of your website, to make sure subscribers are responding to the fields you're using. In addition, understand the best sign-up location based on the purpose of your sign-up. Again, if it's a purchase opt-in, you're going to include that on your checkout process for your subscriber. And where do you include the newsletter sign-up, things like that. In the long term, you're going to want to test variations of these opt-in strategies via interstitial or a chat window to see what your subscribers respond to. As discussed, website opt-in is the most effective tactic for list growth. Now let's talk about another effective tactic for list growth that seems to be giving marketers the most trouble. This leads us to our fourth key, social sharing. According to our panel of B2C brands, social sharing is the second most effective tactic, yet the most difficult for list growth. Quick tips, make sure you're focusing in the right places. As B2C marketers, Facebook is still the dominant platform for social sharing. But as we see a rise in Twitter and Pinterest, make sure you're leveraging your Facebook strategy and optimizing for these other channels as well.
Yeah, definitely. And also, recently I've been finding that I've been engaging a lot with brands on Pinterest. So, that might be a nice way for retailers or other brands that use a lot of visual images to direct people from Pinterest pages to a newsletter sign up or a coupon sign up, offers, deals. So, using some kind of an image of a product and then maybe saying, save 25% by signing up for our email program. And then it can direct them to the landing page or wherever they can sign up for your emails.
Definitely. So let's take a dive into an example here from Blue Hornet client KFC. They do such an awesome job at including a simple newsletter tab on their Facebook page that includes an email opt-in. Again, they keep their form simple, straight to the point, and convey value, getting exclusive offers straight to your inbox. Again, here subscribers are dropped right from Facebook into their email database. In our Consumer Views webinar series late last year, we discussed how beneficial this is for your social and email subscribers. People want deals. Providing them an incentive like this right on the sign-up form, giving them the latest and greatest from your brand right in the inbox is a powerful way to acquire new subscribers. And in a pay-to-play social world, you can also include sponsored posts to drive traffic to a page such as this. And again, talking about completing the opt-in experience, make sure you're following up from this social opt-in with a relevant welcome email based on this being a social acquisition. KFC does a great job of this. They know their subscriber came from Facebook, and they're providing a very social welcome email, including language like #HowDoYouKFC. If you know someone is engaging with you socially, make sure that their experience with your brand via email is also social. Remember, first impressions are everything, and social followers are not necessarily always your email followers. So creating kind of this hybrid of the social email relationship in the welcome email is very powerful for providing relevance at opt-in.
Yeah, and the fact that you mentioned KFC, Emily, it makes me think that they're doing a great job with their social strategy. As I don't know if you saw today, but they had a post about creating an edible coffee cup, and it was pretty viral.
Yeah, I heard it's made out of a cookie. I don't know if I trust drinking my coffee out of a cookie, but whatever works.
All right, so this actually leads into another great example of how you can leverage social sharing to acquire new subscribers. You don't need to necessarily do a direct opt-in campaign via a sponsored post or a newsletter tab like the example we just showed you. Tilt does a great job of implementing a social strategy that serves two very clear purposes. One, they're able to acquire new subscribers and increase the lifespan of current subscribers on their email list. With this example here, you can see they've posted on social, Facebook actually, I think, encourage friends to sign up and earn up to $1,000 credit at Tilt. This is definitely a good incentive for your current subscribers to invite friends, and it's genius. Who doesn't love free money? But in all seriousness, from a marketer's perspective, they're increasing the lifespan of their current subscribers by giving them this credit, making sure they can stay engaged with the brand, and also engaged maybe with another crowdfunding campaign. To the second point, this is very helpful for acquiring subscribers via social that might not necessarily be your email subscribers. If I was on Facebook and I saw this offer, I would instantly click on this and get to the account page that you see right here on the right, asking for my email address, password, logging into an account with Tilt. This is a great way to, acquire email subscribers via your social channel. In a way, I'd like to think Tilt is indirectly creating their own team of brand loyalists via social and email. By developing an ongoing incentive programs, you can let your subscribers and your followers grow your list for you. And I know we've talked about saving time and saving money as marketers. We have a lot of objectives and goals for our campaigns in the coming year. This is a great way to not only increase exposure, reach, and drive ongoing engagement, but also let your subscribers grow your list for you.
Yeah, definitely, Emily. And I know that even personally, I've seen on Facebook brands like Toby who encourage Facebook users to share certain promotions with their friends, which will make both of them earn points. So, like you said, it's using your followers and your subscribers to grow your list. It's a great tactic to use, especially with shareable content.
Definitely, and as you grow your social following, and you see more of a connection or an overlap between your email subscribers and your social followers, you can really get some powerful data from this. Find out what offers to include on social, or how you can increase relevance within your email program based on social behaviors to, again, retain subscribers and increase relevancy. You can also leverage social data from your email subscribers to provide them rewards. If you see them engaging a lot on your Facebook or Twitter account, you can create a brand loyalist campaign for this type of behavior. So to recap the short and long-term objectives that you can easily reach from social sharing, one, we'd say short-term, make sure that you do have a sound direct opt-in campaign similar to the KFC example we just saw, and invest in sponsored posts to drive traffic. Long-term, let your subscribers grow your list for you via social sharing by creating that brand loyalty and providing incentives to share. As you build your list via social, understand the behaviors of your social and email engagers to test new opportunities within your email program. Now, understanding the behavior of social subscribers is just the start. To ensure your list growth strategy is driven by proven behavioral data, you have to diagnose your database to uncover the best opportunities for ongoing optimization. This leads us to our last key, diagnosis and optimization. So as you can see here, marketers say that strategy effectiveness is another top challenge to email list growth. So how can you optimize your strategy to ensure you're maximizing your potential for success? You should make it easy to benchmark your progress and measure the success of your efforts. So let's get started on some ways to do that. First, tag your subscribers at point of acquisition to identify where your top performing channels are. You can also identify where you need to optimize. This could mean, social contest registration, point of sale, online purchasers, or organic site signups. Monitor performance by channel to see where you're getting the most value out of your subscribers, and where you can provide a more relevant opt-in experience. So for example, if you tag subscribers by online purchasers, make sure they are customizing a welcome email to that audience based on your acquisition source. Again, another way to determine where you should spend your marketing dollars and time. Another way to analyze your data to identify the best opportunities for ongoing optimization is to take a look at the lifespan of your subscribers. I think this is a very simple and effective way to understand why people are unengaging with your program, leading to that attrition we talked about from opt-outs. So by taking the difference, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, and this is definitely one of those things that is, I know you're probably about to finish the formula there, but it's definitely specific based on industry and company. So it's important to see what you can do to increase this lifespan by maintaining your easy-to-use preference center and keeping your consistent cadence, and also just remembering that you need to use your own benchmarks to determine your success. Sorry, go ahead, Emily.
No, that's perfect. And actually, just on the heels of that, analyzing the difference between the opt-out date and the opt-in date for your subscriber, maybe by segment or by campaign, will add another layer of clarity to see where you can optimize your lifecycle program to keep subscribers on your list longer as well. If you're seeing that the average subscriber is opting out after 7 days from point of acquisition, you might want to revisit your welcome series or revisit the offer that you used to acquire that subscriber. If you're seeing that the lifespan of your subscriber is much longer, maybe 9 months, you might consider implementing a brand loyalty program to keep them on your list past that 9-month point. It just gives you another way to analyze your database to provide a better opt-in experience from an ongoing optimization and testing perspective.
So yeah, again, every industry is different. So, when you're talking about this, like I said before, this makes testing so much more crucial to success. And for retail, maybe your customers would be used to 5 emails a week. Maybe for automotive, they'd be used to 1 email a week, or they, are more responsive to one. So as I said before, it's definitely important to segment, to validate, to optimize your list, and so that you can get the best results. So as you can see here, this has a list growth formula on it. And as I've been talking about, it's definitely based on your individual company, your individual industry, for how much your list should be growing. So as you can see, this is an email list growth formula. So you take your new subscribers, subtract your opt-outs, subtract your invalids, and divide that by your previous list size to determine your email list growth percentage.
Yeah, and furthermore, you can use this formula to identify testing and optimization opportunities. For example, if you see a low increase in new subscribers month over month, focus your efforts on optimizing your website opt-in experience, social sharing, contests, or other tactics to drive acquisition. If you see high opt-outs, revisit key 2, content relevance and value, to see where you can be adding more value to your subscribers, reducing attrition. And lastly, if you see high invalids, going back to key 1 of list hygiene, implement a double opt-in or a list of validation service to decrease the number of hard bounces coming to your list.
So, in conclusion here, you can use these tactics to ensure the effectiveness of your ongoing optimization and list growth strategy. Short term, go through the exercise of calculating your own growth rate and what challenges you're facing. This will not only help in diagnosing where you want to spend your time and money, but it will also allow you to benchmark, like I said, for future improvements. Long term, analyze your acquisition efforts by channel. Tag subscribers for performance metrics. And finally, analyze the lifespan of your subscribers, your whole list by individual segments. Then you can optimize your acquisition and lifecycle messaging in order to grow and retain your lists. So coming to the end of it here, let's recap some of the key takeaways from using the 5 keys to email list growth. So the 5 keys are list hygiene, which is your basic foundation, content relevance and value, streamlining your website opt-in, social sharing, and diagnosis and optimization. So we've covered a lot in today's presentation. We're going to take a quick look at how you can use these keys for driving email list growth success. So first, you can maximize your growth while maintaining your data quality. As we said, make sure that your entire email database is only including valid and up-to-date email addresses, or you're wasting your marketing dollars and also jeopardizing your sender reputation.
Number 2, make sure you capitalize on the short-term objectives first, then the long-term objectives. We're all busy as marketers, and again, balancing budgets. For a company, big or small, there's a lot of variables here. Make sure that you're tackling that low-hanging fruit with the short-term objectives, and then focusing on the 5 keys to build and test a long-term strategy for list growth.
Next, identify opportunities for ongoing optimization. So, this is the kind of things that we've been talking about the whole time. Make sure that you're always testing. Test your, interstitials, test your pop-ups, test your cadence of your emails, test your times that you're sending, test everything. And you can definitely continue to optimize your web forms and all of the aspects of your email program.
Definitely. And lastly, measure the success of your efforts. It's important to benchmark where you started when you implemented your list growth strategy, as well as your progress, and tie them to the specific tactics you're using to grow your list to identify what's working, what's not. Again, list maintenance is an important part of accelerating growth. The more subscribers you lose from attrition, from opt-outs and invalids, the more you have to grow your list. And with that, Ash, I'll turn it over to you for questions.
Perfect. So we have a lot of questions coming in. There are 2 that are kind of similar, so I'll combine them. Sarah asks, how does address validation work? And Vanessa is asking, do you have any good validation companies you suggest?
Yeah, so I can definitely take the first part of this question. So validation it works by not only doing simple corrections, so domain level errors, hotmail.com is spelled wrong, maybe you have 2 @ signs, maybe you have 2 periods, maybe you have, so those are some pretty high level typos and mistakes that can be corrected really easily on the way into the database. There are also a few validation providers who can check in real time whether or not an email address is valid and active, and make sure that it's not a toxic email address. So, maybe some kind of emails that are role accounts are ones that you want to keep out of your list. So, you can work with a provider in order to determine what kinds of emails you want to allow into your database and which ones you don't. So the correction is really just, based on algorithms for typos and things like that, as well as, predetermined toxic email addresses. As for a provider, we don't want to toot our own horn too much, but Fresh Address does offer some validation solutions. You can definitely check out our website to see which ones are there.
Oh, thank you. Let's see, from Katie, any research as to why 2% of email addresses change each month? And from my personal perspective, I've had email addresses for years and years and years, but I never really changed my email address. I just keep adding new ones. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, so some of the reasons why people change their addresses can be, changing jobs, if a certain email, they want to switch email clients. I know a lot of people have been getting Apple email addresses recently. A lot of people, if they're in school, maybe they're going from a school email to a professional email. So there are tons of different reasons why people change their email addresses, and 2.5% per month is definitely kind of a staggering number, but that's one of the reasons that you need to kind of combat that with list growth. Emily, any other? Yeah,
I was going to actually add a few points. So I know that we mentioned earlier that from our consumer views report, we found that on average, every consumer has 5 email addresses. And to your point, this might be a personal email address, a work email address, an email address they use for testing, or an email address they use for, in our case as marketers, maybe industry research. So there is an opportunity to have all these email addresses, and again, the primary email address could always be changing as well if you're changing jobs. Another variable, domains die sometimes, so if you have an email address at a domain that's no longer valid or available, you need to get a new email address. So that's just another kind of variable to why consumers have so many email addresses. So
yeah, I guess it's really a moving target too, because I'll use the email address for a while, and then I start to get a lot of spam in that, and then I'll open a new email address, and then the same thing happens, and they keep moving along. So that's something else that marketers should consider too. Is it's always going to be a moving target, so you have to be kind of creative in how you figure out what the primary email address is.
Yeah, and just that brings up a good point, Ashley. Like you said, if you personally are receiving a lot of spam in your inbox, you're going to get a new email address. So this, ties back to the whole content and relevance theme that we were talking about. If you're not providing relevant content to your subscribers, they could be, creating a new email address to get away from you, and then you not only lose that email address, but you also lose the relationship with that subscriber. So
right.
It's kind of a circle.
Yes, you're always chasing.
Yeah.
It's also definitely an argument for a good email preference center to make sure that people, are getting what they want.
Yeah. All right, next question is from Jeff, and this is kind of near and dear to my heart being a B2B marketer, but how does the Pet 360 or Tilt campaign translate to the B2B world?
Yeah, so I can kind of start out. Oh, did you want to go, Catherine?
No, go for it. I'll chime in later.
So just a few points. I know that with Pet 360 and Tilt examples, we're focusing on Facebook as a primary channel for B2C consumers. But for B2B, first and foremost, you're going to want to focus on LinkedIn. I think Twitter is becoming more popular too, especially with events or trade shows or industry reports. It's great to have a strategy on both channels to make sure that you're promoting your content to the right audience. And again, the Tilt example, you're offering an incentive for someone to engage with you. So in the B2B world, this could be a very high-value piece of content that might be relevant to a particular industry. So just make sure that whatever offer you're providing, whether it's a content download or, a free strategy engagement, whatever it might be relative to your industry, that you're making sure okay, this is the kind of offer this person would want, and just cater that to LinkedIn and Twitter as your primary channel.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, Emily mentioned that social is really pay to play now, and LinkedIn has sponsored updates, and they're relatively inexpensive, and that's a great way to really target your audience. You can target by job title, by company size, by segment or sector. You can do any of that, and then you can have a really good piece of content that you're asking them to download. That's a great way to grow your list as well.
Yeah, and to talk about how you can kind of bring the Pet 360 example into B2B, I mean, I know that, Emily talked about the fact that she had a personalized email based on the pet that she has, so that's kind of more of a consumer type of information. But for B2B, maybe you're targeting them based on, what kind of product they're using at your company, and maybe you're targeting them based on the representative that they've been communicating with at your company. So just little ways, through B2B that you can make a personalized message for your recipients.
Yeah, so think about like all of the fields that you have for any given lead or contact. You have their company name. You have all these things you know about them, so why not put in the subject line, hey, how is XY, how is your company doing with your whatever product you're selling? So just think about all the things that you have to use and be creative and be personalized.
Definitely.
Cool. Let's see. You mentioned that everybody should clean their database quarterly. Do you have to have a vendor to do that, or can you do it in-house?
You definitely don't need a vendor. I know, Emily, you guys have some great strategies for being able to clean your own list.
Yeah, so some things that I would recommend if you're not in a position to invest in a list validation service, a couple things is, one easy way is to review your bounce logs if you have access to that, and notice, are there common domains or typo domains that you see as habitual hard bounces? And you can create suppression rules within your email platform to take those people out of your list, immediately via segments or custom fields, things like that. And then in addition, like I said, you can create suppressions based on common typos. If you see that you constantly have email addresses bouncing with @gmail.com instead of Gmail, you can create suppression rules within your database to remove those as well. And another way to do this, if you don't want to spend the time segmenting your audience, is make sure that you have a welcome program in place to weed out those invalids before you start sending your dedicated emails. I know typically welcome emails, if you're not enlisting a validation service, will have higher hard bounces, and this is due to, invalid email addresses and whatnot. So that's kind of also another way to naturally cleanse your list. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Catherine, on that, or?
Yeah, no, that's definitely what we would recommend if you, and certainly age of email addresses can be suppressed and things like that to make sure that you're sending to your most up-to-date addresses in your database, things like that, and as well as everything that you just said.
Yeah, cool. Next question from Samantha. Is it a smart strategy to offer an incentive upon sign-up? Is it going to falsely inflate your database?
Yeah, Emily, did you? I know we had talked about that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of touched on this earlier as being a positive. We know that subscribers love deals. It's a huge driver for engagement with email acquisition as well as, ongoing engagement with your program. And, a lot of times brands or consumers actually expect this from a brand because so many brands are doing it. I would say that it's important to, again, tag your subscribers by acquisition channel and offer type to see what works and what doesn't. Are you offering 20% off and people are instantly opting out? If you're offering $10 off, are people instantly opting out, and vice versa? And then, of course, another way to reinforce that value, we're more than just, a discount at acquisition, would be to include those value add points like the Fandango example in your welcome series. So aside from this incentive you're getting one time, this 20% off, here's what else you can expect from us. So I think just being able to leverage different points of value within your welcome email will really reinforce why someone should stay on your list. So if you're noticing that people are opting out right after acquisition from a particular offer, I would analyze the offer as well as your welcome series to see if you're really communicating that value.
All right. Well, I think that's all the time we have for now. Thank you so much, Emily and Catherine, and thanks to everybody who joined the webinar today. If you have any additional questions that we didn't answer in today's webinar or have questions on Blue Hornet or Fresh Address, please email us at bluehornetcommunications@bluehornet.com or marketing@freshaddress.com. As a reminder, we'll be sending out the recording of this webinar as well as the slides that were presented in the next few days. For access to the data presented in today's webinar, you can download Blue Hornet's Consumer Email List Management Report at resources.bluehornet.com/list. And thank you again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your week, and we hope we see you next time.